Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to the Christmas Movie Countdown here at Allentown Presents. I am your host, Katie, and I will be reviewing a new Christmas movie every night from December 1st to Christmas. So sit back and enjoy Episode 8, Angela's Christmas. So, this is a Netflix movie. It's very short, it's only 30 minutes long, meant for kids. It is an Irish Canadian animated film directed by Damien O'Connor, and it is based off the Pulitzer Prize winning Irish author Frank McCourt's book. It is set in Limerick Island in the 1910s, and the story revolves around Angela and her desire to make sure that everybody is having a great Christmas. So, because it's just me today, I'm not going to give you any, how I felt about it, because you don't need that. So I'm just going to jump right into the story. Angela is a young girl. We don't know exactly how young, but young enough. And she is one of 4 children. And her family seems to be down on their luck as far as money goes. They emerge from their house set to go to church for Christmas. And Angela's coat is now too small for her. So her mother forces her to hand her coat down to her little brother, which she does. He's still being held by the mom, so very small. And her next older brother has to give up his coat to Angela. And so on and so forth until the oldest boy, who is now the man of the house, he's 12 or so, does not have a coat so that all his siblings can have a coat. But his mom ends up giving him her scarf. And now everybody's warm and they walk to church. They get to the church in their little town of Limerick, Ireland, and they start sitting through the Christmas Mass. And while this is happening, Angela is having difficulty focusing because, 1, she's a child and Mass is always obnoxious, and 2, because her attention is all put on the nativity scene that is at the front of the church, where she sees baby Jesus laying in a manger, and it's your typical Jesus from a manger. He is just in a little diaper. And you have seen many of these manger scenes. It's probably made of wood. It's just a little doll. But Angela doesn't know that. She's just a little kid. So she sees the baby Jesus, and all she can think about is how cold it is outside and how cold it's going to be all night in the church. So she hatches this plan that she is going to make sure that baby Jesus stays warm all night, because of course that's what baby Jesus would want. Nobody wants to be cold on Christmas. So she finds a way to linger in the church a little bit after the service, and she sneaks behind the little gate that the nativity scene is in, and she steals the baby Jesus in her oversized coat and makes her way home. She runs into a couple of different folks on her way home, and none of them really notice too much what she has in her jacket, just that something is off about her. And she ends up getting a shilling from a police officer who offers to help her home, and she declines, but he's like, "It's Christmas, here's a shilling." And then she runs into a street artist playing an accordion, and he is blind, and he starts playing her a Christmas carol, and she gives him the shilling, and she goes on her way home. Now, she doesn't want to make a loud impression, and she doesn't want to be noticeable. She doesn't want her mom to know that she has stolen the baby Jesus. So rather than go in the front door of her house, she plans to go in through the back. The only problem is their backyard has a large wall around it, so she has to throw the baby Jesus over this fence, and she's only 4 or 5, so she's not exactly skilled in the throwing of kind of heavy things around. So she throws this baby Jesus up in the air a couple of times, and it comes straight back down, and she misses a couple of times, and the baby Jesus, made out of wood, is starting to get scratched, the paint is starting to come off of it, and she feels awful, of course, but eventually it makes its way over the fence, and she climbs the fence and gets it up into her room, where she wraps it up tight in a blanket, and she's cuddling with it. Now, her next oldest brother, he's very close to her in age, probably only 2 years older than her, if I had to guess. he notices that this is happening and immediately goes to squeal on Angela to the mom. And the mom is like, kid, what the hell are you talking about? Like, she's just going to bed. And then he tells the mom, oh, but she has Jesus, baby Jesus up in her bed and wrapped in a blanket and all this stuff. And mom's just like, well, isn't that great? Like, she is taking Jesus with her to bed. Like, that's a great plan, right? And the mom doesn't really believe it until the little brother just won't let up. So eventually the mom, played by Ruth Negga, might I add. I know her from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but you might know her from the movie Loving. She's been in Misfits. She's been in all sorts of different things. The mom finally goes upstairs to check on what the brother has been talking and sees Angela with the little wooden Jesus wrapped up in bed, and Angela tries to explain herself. Like, I just wanted to make sure that Jesus was warm on Christmas night, and I'm just protecting him, basically. I'll take him. I was going to take him back in the morning. I just wanted to make sure that he had a warm Christmas night. And the mom finds that very sweet, but also it's for sure stealing because you took him from the church, so everybody get your coats on. We're taking him back to the church right now. So they walk back to the church, and a small crowd has happened in front of the church because when Angela stole baby Jesus before, she had sneezed when she was behind the little fence, and a couple of the people who were in the church praying just assumed that it was the baby Jesus that sneezed. And then when they said, God bless you, the baby Jesus spoke and said thank you, even though it was clearly Angela, like another child over there. And then the baby Jesus was gone, so everyone thinks that Jesus has reappeared as this baby Jesus, sneezed, said thank you, and then disappeared. So the priest is freaking out because it's his nativity scene for his church. There is no baby Jesus. He doesn't know what to do. And along come Angela and her family. Angela sneaks around the back and tries to quietly put baby Jesus back in his manger, but the priest catches her and he notices that it's messed up. He calls the cop over and is like, she messed up my baby Jesus. You should arrest her. You should do all these things. And the cop's just like, come on, dude. 1, it's Christmas. 2, all she was trying to do was keep the thing warm. 3, she's a child. Like, I'm not arresting a child on Christmas. And the priest just keeps like, but she stole my property. She did all these things. And Angela finally kind of gets her point across. I was just trying to make sure that he was warm. And I guess the priest gives up. It's not really so much the priest giving up, but the cop just shutting the priest down and being like, dude, get over it. Your baby is back. Like, let's go. So their family leaves and they go back home for the night. And then when they come back the next day for the following day's service, we see that the baby Jesus is back in his manger and Angela has left the baby Jesus a surprise. And the priest thought it was cute enough that he decided to leave it too. The baby Jesus is now wrapped up in a Christmas sweater that Angela had, this red knitted sweater. And at least now the baby Jesus will be warm. And then the movie ends and that's it. It was 30 minutes, animated, very quick. There aren't very many characters in this film. Like I said, it's mostly just Angela and her family, plus the priest and like a couple of random folks. So my favorite character is Angela because how can you not like the protagonist who literally just wants to keep the little doll warm? She doesn't understand that it's, it can't feel anything. She just sees it as, oh, well, that's Jesus. Like, why wouldn't we keep Jesus warm? And my least favorite character is the priest because, come on, dude, you're a priest. How do you not realize that it's just a kid and she doesn't get it? She wasn't trying to steal something. Like, she didn't steal anything necessarily on purpose. It wasn't with the intention of never giving it back. It was just to keep the little baby Jesus warm. So, my 7-word synopsis for this film is childhood innocence just wants baby Jesus warm. Because that's literally the whole plot. When this movie finished, I was like, That's it, but whatever. The coolest thing that I found out about this movie while I was looking stuff up is that the soundtrack actually features Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries, and this is one of the last things she did. This, I think, and the second one were the last thing she did before she died, as far as movie soundtracks go, and I thought that was really freaking cool. Yeah. So this movie came out in 2017 on Netflix, and there is a sequel, which I will be covering tomorrow. The sequel was released in December of 2020. It's called Angela's Christmas Wish, and I will be talking about it tomorrow. It's quite a bit longer than this one. This was only 30 minutes long, and its sequel, I think, is 47 minutes, so significant. So I would recommend this movie to anyone with kids. If you have kids who are religious, or if you are religious, you're looking for something that's not super agnostic or anything like that, super mainstream, but has a more religious vibe, I would check out Angela's Christmas and Angela's Christmas Wish, the sequel, which I'll talk about tomorrow. They're just good little kid movies. If you only have a few minutes, your kid is just going crazy and you're trying to get something done, throw this on. It's super cute. It'll have their attention for the 30 minutes, and yeah. So if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions on what I should watch next, you can hit us up on Twitter at AllentownPod, on Facebook at Allentown Presents, or you can send us an email at allentownpresents@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to episode 8 of our annual Christmas movie countdown. We'll be back again tomorrow with another Christmas movie. We'll see you then. Bye!